just wonder whether Alex Hughes would want to turn back the clock in terms of what's happening at the Citizen Hub at the moment. Let's just recap. Good morning, Alex, by the way, and thank you for coffee.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
It's nice when people bring me a coffee. It's even nicer when they send a message and say, "What would you like?" So thank you very much indeed for that. Anyway, I can recall having Naomi Watts, who opened the building that was the old electricity showrooms, as Elsie May's Electric Lounge, and they did amazing bread. It was just a lovely place, but sadly couldn't make it pay. COVID didn't help, etc. The building was shuttered up, and then it was taken over by the St Neots Initiative and became the Citizen Hub. Sadly, the doors are closed. Before we talk about why, just tell us a little bit about the background to what was being achieved before you had to put the shutters up.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And thanks for asking as well. Essentially, the Citizen Hub was a reaction to us not having a job centre in St Neots. So for many years, we've all been crying out for it. In fact, that very unit used to be the job centre 18 years ago. And it was to address a fundamental need where we need access to employment. The other thing that it was addressing was skills. St Neots is a further education cold spot. For 16 to 19, apart from Longsands sixth form, there's no vocational learning going on over here. So that was the need. When we tried to get a job centre here, it was not going to happen, which is fine. So we said, well, let's reinvent it. Let's look at a new model, which might say that's community embedded, that's community first. Let's create psychological safety for people locally, because then once they're in psychological safety, then we can start to triage them into skills, into whether it be digital skills, employability, maths and English, English as a second language, all sorts of different skills that were needed. And then once ready, get them into employment. And that's what Citizen Hub was achieving. I guess,
Alex, that for some people, there's an assumption if they're in work that anybody who wants a job, just go online and you'll find something. I mean, it doesn't happen that way all the time, does it? Sometimes it just needs a forum where the employer and the potential employee can get together, and that's what the Hub was providing.
It was, and ultimately, something I've come to appreciate in my time in business is that 30% of jobs are created, not found. Now, what I mean by that is, if I put talent in front of you, you will create a job for them. You will create opportunities for them. So the relationship that St Neots Initiative has in this town with the local businesses, 29 years of existence, and my own relationship with businesses in Huntingdonshire and Cambridgeshire, meant we could quite literally pick up the phone to directors of businesses and say, hey, we've got talent here, and you want to get to know them. And actually, if you look at the demographic of people that were using the Hub and using the services, they're actually people most closest to work. So they're not that far from work. They're not coming to the Citizen Hub in the same reasons some might go to the job centre. They're there because they want to adjust their career. We had people that were earning £60,000-70,000 in London as software engineers that just wanted to find something local. They didn't realise that we had some amazing tech companies in Huntingdonshire that they could get in touch with. Because, like you say, online, Indeed, if you go on Indeed and try and search for something, it's just a massive pit of words. It's been a wonderful service, and we've had, in terms of headlines, we've had over 700 people socially prescribed or put into skills. So socially prescribed might be that they need some help with their money advice. So we have money advice St Neots that are operating out there every Thursday. It might be that they're struggling with their mental health, so we were triaging and signposting to those sort of things. And then in terms of jobs, we had over 135 job applications into the local economy, which is a phenomenal success. And the biggest headline I've got for you is that the job centre in Huntingdon was referring their people to us for skills and jobs on a weekly basis, which is a little bit ironic, but we welcomed it.
And yet the doors have closed.
And yet the doors have closed. The situation, the provider that we went into this project with, who were great. They're a national provider. They've done amazing things. It's been a good relationship, and they've done well out of this first year. They couldn't go past August, and that was something that we knew about in the last, that came to fruition in the last couple of months. So we've been busting our gut to try and find a way in a new partnership to bring it back ASAP. We were hoping that would be a seamless transition. Unfortunately, we didn't get much notice, and we had 2 or 3 days to kind of get out of there, if you like. And but what I can say is that we're in advanced talks with the landlord. We're in advanced talks with other partners. everyone could see the social impact that was being made here. We just need a new business model that will sustain itself. That's key.
So not closed for good, closed temporarily?
Yeah.
Fair to say?
I have to say it's officially closed. I'm very positive that the Citizen Hub as a brand, as a project, has so much energy behind it, and the community. I mean, honestly, the reaction. St Neots, I love this town, just as much as you do. I love this place, born and raised. And as soon as that message went out, I've had messages from pretty much anyone who owns a space in town saying, "Hey, come and use us. Come and we'll adopt you. We'll take you." And so we're very confident that the need is there. We may have been a little bit early. I think that's the thing. If you look at the macro, obviously new government coming in place, there's a lot of devolution going on within the country. One of the things that's up for devolution is job centres. Because, well, quite frankly, I'll be really bold with it. They're not working. They're not providing the service that is needed by the people of the country. So there is an opportunity to look at a new model, and the Citizen Hub is that model. It's been cited nationally as a place to look at for inspiration. It's been cited in the recent Cold Spots Further Education Fund report, which is done by Combined Authority, to address the further education cold spot that is St Neots. Everything you read about any part of the project, if you look at it from a social value perspective, is nothing short of a success. Unfortunately, when you're trying to do things new and you're trying to do things a bit different, it's not always a simple answer as, you have to use your agility, and we have to use our entrepreneurship to try to find a way through this. We'll find a way. I'm confident of that.
Alex Hughes, I'm sure we'll find a way. It's Blackcat Radio. It's 8:14 on this bank holiday morning. Alex is not just here, though, to talk about the Citizen Hub, because the St Neots Initiative have launched their annual awards scheme, and we'll be finding out how you can enter, how you can nominate someone, and how many different categories there are. It's 8:14. I was rather flattered and surprised last year to go to the St Neots Initiative Awards as a guest, only to be tapped on the shoulder because I had my back to the stage and someone said, "Your name just came up on the wall then," and I thought, what? But along with Steve Whitney, my good friend Steve Whitney, we were nominated along with Liz Davies for the Community Award. And as soon as I saw the nominees, I thought, well, Liz is retiring and she's put far more into this town than, if I lived to be 100. So I was delighted that I wasn't in the least bit, I was shocked and stunned to get a nomination, in actual fact, and I don't know who it came from, and I don't really care, but it was just sweet to be nominated, and it's one of many things that I've got at home, the certificate that I got, because if you're going to be a runner-up to anyone, be runner-up to Liz Davies.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was much tighter than you thought, actually. And the fact that both you and Steve were runners-up, I think you were the only category that had two runners-up, because again, you guys are just incredible. Well, all three of you are. From my perspective, as someone who's only been getting involved in the community for the last kind of 5-6 years, like in terms of as involved as you guys, I look up to tremendously.
And you think about someone like Jeff Watts, who I'd never met, and I've done a Your Voice interview with him, and what an astonishing guy he is. And the number of people who I've subsequently met who still call him Mr. Watts. He taught them.
Yeah.
Did you find that? Did you ever manage to cross that divide with any of the teachers that you had? I can imagine, because you were a bit of an agitator. Any of the teachers that you used to have to call Mr. this or Mr. that, ever daring to use their first name after you left school, or did you do it anyway? Well,
funny enough, so Mr. Watts, and I still call him Mr. Watts, was my neighbour when I was growing up. So he was on my street up in Eton Soken, and got a few verbal clip round the ears as I was growing up by Mr. Watts. It was really good when he came. When I saw his name come forward, I was so happy to see him, because he's so well respected in the community. Everything, and he still plays hockey. It's absolutely crazy. So, it was nice to see. It's always nice when you see things like that, when you come across other teachers that you may have been taught by, or I was never taught by Mr. Watts, because I never made it at sixth form. So he was in sixth form at that time. So.
But you've mentioned the word respect, because that is it's written in his DNA.
Oh, 100%.
He's a very respected man. And did you know how much he loves his music as well?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's got that energy about him. He's got an aura about him, and I think seeing his face at that awards, much like yourself, just seeing that lovely surprise for people, it's just wonderful. We were talking about awards and stuff while we were off air, and it's really important, I think, that we recognise people, which is why we call it the Unsung Heroes Awards, because you don't do this sort of work. I'm sure Mr. Watts never did the work he did on the hope that he might one day win an award. I think he did it out of some form of inner drive and some fulfilment. So it's important as we as a town celebrate those people, I think. And
because recognition is everything. I'm not going to lie for one moment that the award I got last year for what I do here, it was, I still pinch myself every now and again and think, there's that award up on the shelf there. No one can ever take that away. No, there will be a new award winner this year. Yeah. But for 2023, that was me, and I've got my award, and it's there on the shelf, and I'll always treasure it.
Own it.
Exactly. So, tell us a little bit about the way that we'll talk about this over the course of the next half hour. But just give us a summary, could you, Alex, of the 5 categories that people could nominate?
Yeah, of course. So we've introduced 2 new categories. So I'll just run through them very quickly. So you've got the Sue Jarrett Award for services to the community. So, Sue was a valued member of St Neots Initiative's Promotion and Tourism Group, had the vice chair there. She was a very active person in the community, very well known. So the nominees for this one are from the voluntary sector and are unpaid. So the criteria for this one is as follows. So commitment, personal responsibility, demonstrate ability to give back to their community, and recognise the achievements in the community. So that's the Sue Jarrett Award. The next one is called the John Davis Award. So this is for services to business in the community. So John has been a member of St Neots Initiative for, as long as St Neots Initiative has been in existence. He was the chair for 16 years. So this is really about contribution to the business sector. So it might be a leader within local business. It might be someone who drives local economic growth. And again, it's around commitment, personal responsibility, demonstrating their ability to give back to the community as a business, and being recognised achievements. The John McDonald Award, so this was the one that Jeff won last year. Sorry, Mr. Watts. So this is aimed at areas that support the sports arena. So background staff, unpaid administrators. Our sports clubs are run by some of the most incredible people that rarely get like a shout out or mention. So this is a really good one. And then we've got 2 new ones. We've got a Manufacturing Award. So this is for people for organisations that are local, which is 45% of our employment is manufacturing in St Neots, who can demonstrate a positive societal impact as a result of their practices or products. So this is aimed really at the employees of that business, who's in there that's doing great things for the community. And then lastly, how can we have an awards now with the rise of the future and the youth within St Neots Initiative without having Young Persons Awards? So this is aimed at age 17 and 25-year-olds. So Young Person Awards testifies learning, skills, experiences gained outside of formal education that are highly valued by employers, colleges, universities. So again, commitment, personal responsibility, recognised achievements, and someone who challenges themselves. We want some young talent. Who's that young apprentice? Who's that person who, when you go to get your coffee, who just always over-delivers? Who's that young person who just busts their gut for their community? They're the people we want to celebrate this year. I'm very excited about it.
Now, in terms of nominations, Alex, anybody can do a nomination.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've got, so there's physical forms that like we've been hanging out with people like Steve that are connected, and they'll be around the town. But the easiest way is to go to St Neots Initiative's website, stneotsinitiative.org.uk, and then on the media, so the latest article, there's links to it. It's a really simple form. It's a Google form. You can put in multiple nominations in one place. So you can go in there, take 15 minutes out of your day and just think about, sport, young people, community volunteers, and start to think about your names. But the deadline is the 14th of September. And in terms of process, once we get the nominations in, then each of these categories have been given to subcommittees of St Neots Initiative, who get around the table and really go through there and have that challenging conversation about who might win, who might be the unsung heroes of St Neots this year.
And the whole point is that the recognition of individuals is important in this.
Yeah, absolutely, and we want to make people happy. We want to celebrate those individuals so they can go on and do another year. How many times do we do it, Steve? Another year. Yeah, I'll do one more. So this is about really just pausing for a moment to do so. And I've got to say massive thank you to our sponsors. So RWE, Urban and Civic, and Connaught Care have sponsored this year, which will mean we can actually have a little bit of a celebration. It'll be a hybrid celebration event somewhere in town to celebrate those individuals with the sponsors and with some invited guests. So it'll be a hybrid online and in-person event. Not quite the grand 200 plus people event we had last year. We're hoping to maybe do something bigger next year, because we're still, as you know, pending our charity status and all the other drama that comes with trying to transition a partnership that is St Neots Initiative. If
you've been listening to what Alex has had to say over the course of the last 3 or 4 minutes, and you know of someone, and I'm sure anyone listening to this right now who lives in this town or in any of the surrounding villages, you must know someone who would be worthy of one of these awards. You can find all the details, as Alex says, on the St Neots Initiative website, and we will certainly be promoting this on our socials as well, and on your socials, because you might know someone and you might want to just put it onto your own little Facebook group to say, hey Fred, what about this? We could nominate someone for it. So go ahead and do it, because you never know who might win. It's 8:33. We'll get the news headlines and the weather. Then we'll be chatting to Alex all the way up to 9 o'clock. Michael Jackson. It's never black and white with you, though, Alex, is it? So,
no, never.
There's always a grey area. The enthusiasm that you show for the Citizen Hub, and we've been talking off air about the possibilities. I remain quite confident that something will happen, because it's important to create community spaces.
Yeah, I mean, latest data shows you in every study that's being done in the UK right now, especially around youth unemployment and things like that, which latest ONS data was out on Friday. The case studies show if you've got psychological safety, if you've got safe space, you've got space that you feel comfortable in, then it allows you to feel better and do more for yourself. And I think that's, from a positioning perspective, we've always been the same. I've had a great so I volunteer in there at least 2 days a week, and I have done for over a year, right? And when people come in, I remember this guy is brilliant. He would come in, he just moved up from London, right? He was a decorator. He was a proper, best say, like a geezer. He was quite bold. He came in here speaking to me like I'm a service. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people can sometimes see things as a service rather than something to help themselves. And he was saying what he needed. And I said, well, we're here for you to help yourself. If you need access to the network, great. If you need access to support, whatever you need. But ultimately, this space is for you to help yourself. It's not a service. And it's something that we were really good at. It was just saying, well, actually, if you just want to come in, have a cup of tea, read a book, go home, that's fine. That's if that's a service that you want from this space, that's what it's there for. So, yeah, I'm very positive about what I see going on nationally beyond here. That gives us a lot of hope to say that this is what's needed, and they're going to come in different forms. If you look at it, in other parts of the UK, there's a big retail theme around hubs. There's co-retail hubs, there's food halls, there's innovation hubs, there's creative hubs. There's look over in Cambridge, there's Together Culture. They've set up a little hub just outside what was the Grafton Centre to really address some of the needs around there, and that's much more focused around kind of creative and learning. That's fine. I think it's important, as long as the community does it for themselves, then the hub will sustain. It is as simple as that.
Something you mentioned earlier, because as you know, I live in Hertford on the outskirts of Huntingdon, and you were talking about a lack of what youngsters at 16 and 18 can go on to for further education. And there was I thinking, well, we've got Huntingdon Regional College, and they always say that St Neots is a bigger town now than Huntingdon. Does St Neots need a St Neots Regional College?
I think so. Something let's say I'm very passionate about education, and I'm very passionate about youth empowerment. And in the last couple of years, we've worked with at least 50% of the schools across Cambridgeshire. In fact, we've got good scope. My response to that is, I think St Neots as a town should be confident in saying to any young person that we have something here for you. whether that be in education, whether that be in their free time and their leisure. We should have things here for people to call their own and engage with. So if sixth form doesn't work out for you, fine, then there's this alternative option. The alternative option does not exist. I don't think we're in a situation where we should be building new colleges. I think there's enough space in the empty units and within the employment base here where we can create that education embedded within our environment, would be my view. I don't think we need to be building more fancy new buildings when there's a load of buildings empty. I think, can we not just use the ones we have and spread out the learning rather than, another big fancy college? I just don't feel like we're there right now.
Alex Hughes from St Neots Initiative, and many other hats that he wears as well in this town. It's Blackcat Radio on Bank Holiday Monday morning. Is Alex Hughes, and Alex knows lots of things. Are you familiar with that song?
I don't think I've heard it, if I'm honest.
Hazel O'Connor was huge in the late 70s, early 80s, and that song was taken from a film called Broken Glass. It was the saxophone solo in that is right up there with Baker Street.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
In 1987, it wasn't 1987. 2007 was it? No. Do you know what, Alex? It was 2017. My life's flashing by before me. Myself and 4 other people in Huntingdon decided we wanted to bring music. Huntingdon was bereft of good live music compared to St Neots. So we sat round the table in the King of the Belgians and risked 500 quid each of our own money to bring some top quality music to the town. And Hazel O'Connor, we put a concert on for Hazel O'Connor in the church in Huntingdon.
Wow.
Sold out. We had a couple that came over from France to see it. We had a couple who were holidaying from Florida and we were staying in London who heard about it and drove up to watch it. And to see that saxophone solo played in, and we all looked at one another and said, we did this. And it was one of those astonishing moments. And I think we all have thoughts about what we would like to do and when we would like to do it. And you have got lots of thoughts about how you would like to see the centre of the town develop, because there's been so much conjecture about why are they spending all this money on the market square and what are they doing with it. Is it going to look nice when it's done? What's the Falcon going to look like when it gets refurbed? What would you, if you were in charge of running that project, what would you be thinking?
Oh, blimey, that's a big question.
We've only got 9 minutes.
I think I'm often lauding St Neots as the most entrepreneurial town in the country, and it's the centre of the universe, and we're the fastest growing town in Cambridgeshire, and the excitement around the development of the town is huge. For those that know, you can see the development, you can see the money being spent, you can see the figures, you can look at all the headlines and you can see development, growth. If Universal Studios happens in Bedford, boom. If the 428 goes well, boom. If Wintringham keeps expanding and boom. Like it or not, growth is happening, right? So for me, if I'm in that situation, I'm looking at the market square and saying, well, what an opportunity to get businesses along that journey with us. That's the most important thing for me, is, are we being engaged with? You've got all the skills and all the expertise, let's be honest, right? Having spent a lot of time working with the authorities with many different hats, as you alluded to earlier, I engage at a director level and a council level with every layer of our government, right, in some form, whether it be with youth, whether it be with the work I do with St Neots Initiative, the Citizen Hub, whatever. And they're not massive teams. They're not huge teams with loads of expertise inside. They have to go out to go get consultation. They have to go get other experts in. Well, actually, you've got a lot of experts right here in St Neots. You've got businesses. Look at what James Larman and Ash Skip have done over at Bohemia. Look at Ian McLaughlin going from him and his son in a van at Floorboy. Well, I remember Ian 10 years ago when we first met, it was just him and his son in a van. And now look at them, they're doing nearly 7 figures with a flooring shop on the market square, which is just unheard of. Yes, that comes with some challenges, because when you're doing works on there, you've got to get the lorry in, and I've Ian's been quite vocal about those issues. It comes with a lot of issues. I think whilst absolutely massive issues with rates needs to be looked at in a tremendous, just needs to be overhauled. Business rates is a problem, not just here but in this country. We need to start engaging with the landlords. Ultimately, the council can't control what's happening much on the high street because they don't own anything anymore, quite frankly. HDC own the Rowley Arts Centre. Talk to them about that. But the Market Square, all the properties around there, they're private landlords. Who's speaking to them? Who's having those conversations? Who's having meaningful discussions with them as a collective, with the businesses? Once you've got that view, then you can start to layer it on. That's why we do citizen gatherings. As you know, for St Neots Initiative, we've had over 1,000 people through citizen gatherings and business leaders gatherings, because we're taking the voice and the opinion of citizens, what they want, and then we're giving businesses the opportunity, because they have the agency and their businesses, to react and work together. So the long answer of saying, what would I do? I would absolutely go into deep co-design with our businesses, with the entrepreneurs that exist within the area, to support and layer in with the support of the local authorities. The challenges that come with that right now are, who's in charge? You know, who's coming? Who is that person that says we've all got to get together? Who's bringing all those parties together? I haven't been invited, so I don't know if it's happening, and I haven't been invited. But I don't see a strategy right now, and I'd like to see a strategy.
Alex Hughes from St Neots Initiative. Before we let you go, Alex, just give us a recap once again, if you would, of the categories for the awards. Which will when will they be? You mentioned this hybrid event. When will it be? Have you got a date for it yet?
Yeah, it'll be in October. The date slips my mind, and I'll make sure it's on the social media post that we can share later. I appreciate you doing that. It's mid-October will be the celebration. I'm sure Debbie will probably text us both now. Going,
she will if she's listening. Of course she will. But the nominations need to be done by the 14th of September. And anyone listening to this right now, you will just need to get an email or get on the St Neots Initiative website, or if you want to drop by the studio, I can give you a piece of paper, piece of A4 with them all on. But there are 5 categories up for grabs, Alex. Yep,
so you got the Sue, so I'll just give you headlines. So you got Sue Jarrett Award for services to the community. So this is about someone who's doing work as a volunteer in that sector, unpaid, and they're showing commitment, personal responsibility, demonstrating ability to give back to the community, and have recognised achievements. Then you got the John Davis Award for services to business and the community. So it's someone in our business community that's going above and beyond, that's really focused on social impact in the town. So a real placemaker we're looking for there. And then John McDonnell, which is the Sports Award. So this is all about commitment and personal responsibility when it comes to developing sport arena, which, by the way, is blowing up in St Neots. So I won't talk about the Sports Collective now, but if you're interested in in sport, and you want to see it grow, you need to be joining St Neots Initiative, and you need to be joining Tanya and Michael heading up the Sports Collective. What they're doing is just profound. Then you've got a manufacturing award. So this is someone, an individual that works in the manufacturing sector, could be an apprentice, could be a long-serving member of staff that's done great things when it comes to societal impact through that business. And then last but not far from least is the Young Person Award. So this is someone who has really shown a commitment, a personal responsibility to challenge themselves, always wanting to learn, always trying to develop their skills, and mostly through experiences outside of their formal education. These are the people we want to celebrate. Just to recap, stneotsinitiative.org.uk to get your nomination in if you want to do it electronically. You can get forms from Steve. You can get forms from me. If you message St Neots Initiative on Instagram and Facebook, they're the 2 platforms we're pretty active on. You can get a form in your inbox. Let's get these award nominations in for the 14th of September, and then we look forward to celebrating with everyone in October.
Alex Hughes, thanks very much for joining me this morning. You get off to the park. I'm going to get off to the back garden and have me poached egg and avocado on toast. And I'll be back here on Full English Breakfast Show tomorrow morning. So, now.